Hey, we are here. We are live. Thank you so much for coming to the live training. That is how to make a comic in 30 days that builds an audience. I hope you are ready. This training is jam packed with value, with content. I cannot wait to jump right on in, and that's what we're going to do right now. So, I am Ed Williams. I am the president, I'm the founder, the brand manager, brand strategist. I am the chief creative officer, and so many other things at ArcLight Comics. We started ArcLight 6 years ago in 2011, and we wanted to create some diverse comics and create more representation out there in the industry, some authentic, genuine representation out there, both on the pages and behind the pages. So our creators are all from all walks of life, from all different cultures, all different experiences and things like that. And we really just pulled this whole universe together. And this really started out back when I was a child. And somebody told me it was at an elementary school Halloween party of all things. And I went dressed as Batman. And one of the other kids looked at me and he said, "You know what? You can't be Batman because Batman isn't black." And that stuck with me for years until I found the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the Black Ranger, and continued to find different representations of myself in Milestone Comics. And then, we're here today with ArcLight Comics. So a lot of my inspiration comes from that. And we've built an entire universe of comic book superheroes here at ArcLight. It's been phenomenal. And I haven't done this by myself. I have an amazing group of talented creators who have helped me patch this universe and this world and bring these characters to life underneath ArcLight Comics. You'll actually meet some of them later on in the training. So before we jump in, please be sure to minimize distractions. I really want you to pay attention because not everything is going to be on the slides. Like there's not that many bullet points and there's not that, there's not walls of text here. So make sure you have something to write with and something to write on. Put the phone down, turn off the TV. I want you to pay attention and get as much out of this as you can. If you sign up, you're going to get the slides in your email after the training is finished. So if you miss anything, there's some things that are in here. Don't feel like if you see an image or if you see something in here that you feel like you have to hurry up and scribble down, don't do that. Just grab the most important information, the things that resonate with you and the things that click with you at first. And then you can get the rest of the stuff from the slides that we'll send to you for free. So let's jump on in. So what are mini issues? I have been talking about these things for like 2 years now. I have been a big proponent of mini issues. They are the bomb. I love them. Like they get the job done. But what are they? Like besides comics and stories, what are they? Mini issues are tools. Okay, we're not just putting out comics and stories just to be putting them out. These are strategic tools that we use to build up the business end of ArcLight Comics. So as a whole, many issues are a business move and they are a business strategy. And what do we do with tools? We build things, right? Many issues help you build an audience. So for those of you who are out there looking, you need to build a following, right? Like you need to have a base of people who will be ready for when you put out your first issue or when you launch your Kickstarter. You know that you need an audience. Many issues are one of the best kept secrets. I don't even think it's a secret. It's just one of the things people just don't do. And if you want to build an audience, one of the best ways, one of the most genuine, honest ways to do this is by doing mini issues. Next, they help you build a team. Now, this isn't like fluff. I'll show you in a minute that I've really been able to build a strong team of 8 people through the mini issues. If you want to attract talent, if you want to expose your concept, if you know you have a high-end concept, you want to expose people to it, and expose people to the characters and the world that you've built and to bring people in and get their interest and their attention, mini issues are the way to go. Next, they help you build a brand. Now we're talking about brand, we're talking about community. We're talking about what is the container that people put you in. Like, how do you make them feel? What do they think about when they see your brand, when they see your comic book studio name on their timeline? Like, what is the associated feelings and thoughts with what you're putting out? And that's what many issues help you able to do as well. They also help you build influence. Now, you would not be paying attention to this training, and I would not be able to give it unless I have some type of credentials or experience on my resume, right? I don't care if it's 1 page, 2 pages, or 50 pages. The moment you put out an issue, a comic, it's published. That makes you a writer or an artist. All right. We have 10 mini issues under our belt and 1 full page, 1 full issue, and we're working on 2 other books this year. So I have built up the necessary experience and credentials, and we have built up a lot of influence. People ask us for script reviews and character reviews and design reviews all the time. Our inboxes and our DMs are always busy. They're always bumping. People are always asking for help from us. So that's what they also help you do. They also help you build up your confidence. This is important because I see so many creators struggling with their self-esteem, struggling with the confidence to move forward with their work, struggling with their ability as a writer or as an artist. Once you are able to execute on the 1 page, trust me, it gets better from there. Your self-esteem, your confidence, all these things slowly build themselves up over time. And last but not least, they help establish your voice. It's a noisy world out here, y'all. It really is. There's a lot of people on the timeline. Buy my thing, click my thing, share my thing, support my thing, do this with my thing, kickstart my thing, Indiegogo. It's a lot. It's spam. It's repetitive. There's a lot going on. What many issues help you do is cut through the noise and position you in a good place to say, hey, I'm not going to ask you to keep doing all these things. This is who I am. This is what I am about. And this is why you should care. Many issues help you establish that type of pattern for the people that you're putting your comics and your concept out in front of. And let me make this point. Many issues are free. They are free to the consumer. They are not something you're going to make money off of immediately. Now, I know this sounds silly, right? Yes, many issues cost money to make. You are going to have to put up some coins to get these mini issues made. Yes, it sounds foolish to spend all this money getting this 1 page comic done and you're not going to get anything on the back end of it right then and there, okay? But what even sounds more foolish is expecting complete strangers who have never heard of you, don't trust you, don't have a reason to care about what you're doing, and going in on the very first point of contact and asking them to buy from you. You don't do this yourself. How many commercials does it take to get you to buy or to get you to take any sort of action? How many movie trailers and TV spots did you have to see before you can make a firm decision that, okay, I want to go see this film or I don't want to go see the film? How many reviews do you read on Amazon before you actually decide to make a purchase? You know, there's a book or something on Amazon and you are reading review after review to make sure that this is what the offer says it is, and people are agreeing and are giving the appropriate testimonials to that book. How many times? Now, this is consumerism at its finest, right? So if it takes you that many times to make a decision, then what's the difference between that and a comic book? Just because we're creating comics doesn't mean we're excluded from basic consumerism. It doesn't. And these companies are spending millions of dollars to put these commercials, these movie trailers and everything else, these Facebook ads. They're spending thousands and millions of dollars to get this stuff in front of you. Either you're going to pay on the front end or the back end, but either way, you got to pay, right? Many issues are a way of us getting into this game. You see this all the time when you walk into a food court or you walk into a Sam's Club or a Walmart or a Harris Teeter or some other major grocery chain. Especially in food courts, you always see the person out there standing with the little food sample in a plastic cup with a toothpick. That is to get you to the entree. That is to get you to buy the full meal, right? That is not for you. They're just not doing that just to do it. They're just not putting the things out there and hoping that you take something off the tray and to keep on moving with your day. No, that is deliberately and intentionally put out in front of you for you just to get a taste of what is to come when you get the full meal. And 9 times out of 10, it works, right? And what we're doing is no different. This model that you see is not excluded from the comic industry. You want to know why? Free Comic Book Day. This happens every year. This isn't just some event that the publishers feel like doing because it's a feel-good thing. It's we care about people, this is that and the other. I'm sure some of that plays into it. But at a larger scale, this is what they're doing on the front end. Free Comic Book Day is for all these books, all these titles to find an audience. It is to validate the book. It's to validate the strength of the stories, the strength of the book, the strength of the writer, the strength of the artist. It really is for these books to find their audiences. You go into a comic book store on Free Comic Book Day, you pick up 50 comics and you read through them all and you find maybe 10 or 20 or 25 of them that you really like. Now that they have spent the money, these publishers have spent the money to put up for that. Now they can depend on you coming back for whatever books you chose out of that 50 as a returning customer for issue 1 or whatever issue is next in the line, right? This is not anything new. This is a practice that's been going on for years now. So many issues work in the same fashion. It's just where these publishers are able to afford a whole issue, we scale it down to 1 page because it's more cost effective, right? It's cheaper, less of a risk, and you can get it out there quicker. You may not have the right processes or systems in place to produce a 21-page issue for free, nor will you actually may not have the actual resources or the finances to move that type of project forward. But what you can do is you can learn how to tell a really good story in 1 page, make it cost less than $300, and get it out there. Okay? This isn't, I'm sorry, got tongue-tied. But this isn't something that is, we're able to do this, and it's evident if you don't know who Roy Akupe is. Roy Akupe is the founder and owner of Unique Studios. Roy has been doing this for a while. Roy has put Malika, now this is Malika Creed and Fury. Last year he put out Malika, the first title for Malika last year for Free Comic Book Day, and Malika has found its audience. It's a really strong audience. I see Malika ads and people talking about Malika all the time on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. He's done incredibly well for himself as an independent creator, and he mostly does this all by himself. Like, he doesn't have I could be wrong. I think he has a team, but he's mostly pulling the business side of it together all by himself. I mean, just look at how far he has gotten. The 100 most influential Africans of 2017. He's done phenomenally well. He has built up a great audience for himself. So when you get into the practice, when you get into the mindset that many issues are a necessity for you to find your audience, that's how you start building your audience. You can't build an audience because what happens is, I see so many times, is that these animations are going to kill me. I shouldn't have put them in there. But what happens is you put out this comic and it may be 99 cents, right? So you go on Facebook and you spam everybody and you keep saying, hey, buy this comic, buy this comic, buy it, share it, do it, whatever. And then nobody's buying. Then you get upset that nobody's buying the comic. Everything I just said, nobody knows you, nobody trusts you, nobody knows who you are, nobody cares, is a result of what you're not seeing. You're not seeing that what you're doing is you're putting up a paywall between the consumer and your content. They have to be able to trust you before they buy from you. This is how you operate. I'm not saying anything out of the ordinary. I'm not saying anything out of line. Every marketer will tell you this. Every person who is an icon in sales and marketing and closing sales will tell you this. You need to take down that paywall. You have to offer something for free. You have to establish trust. People aren't just going to put up. It's not about 99 cents. Right? People have 99 cents. You can find that in the couch cushions. What the problem is that 99 cents holds more value than what you believe. And because it holds more value than what you believe, you just think that putting your comic at 99 cents is going to do the trick and people are going to start pouring in. No. They have not heard about you. They do not know you. They're asking consumer-based questions in their mind. Is this story going to be good? Can this person write a good story? Is the art going to be good? Is this going to be worth my 99 cents? There are questions being applied that you are not privy to, but you need to be privy to in order to understand how this works, right? And once you understand the mindset, once you get the bigger picture here, these are the types of numbers that you can start seeing when you start producing mini issues, okay? We have had over 5,000 mini issue downloads. And those stats are from about a few months ago. I don't know where it's at now, but we've had over 5,000 from 2016 to 2017. So that's just about it in a year. We probably could have done better than this, but this is nothing to shy at either, you know. And with this number, with this figure, we have been able to build up an audience. These numbers I pulled a week or two ago. So this number is actually, we have some other social platforms out there, so not all the numbers are here, but we actually have over 5,000 collectively of our audience between Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and things like that. I have been able to build up a team because of our mini issues. Every single one of these people were introduced to ArcLight Comics because they saw a mini issue. They saw what we were doing. They saw the concept. They saw the characters. They saw the vision, and they wanted to get on board with what we were doing, what we were creating. Okay, so who we have here, I'm going to introduce my team because the squad is dope. We have Tim Wozni, of course me right there, but Tim Wozni is our art department lead. He's also the creator of Apex, and he's the character lead on Apex. And then we have Valerie Complex, who is the co-character lead on Braxton. Then we have Brent Lyles, who is the character creator of Solace and the character lead on Solace. And then we have Stephanie Williams, who is also co-lead on Braxton. Then we have Spencer Bullet-Terry, who is our lore master. That's such a dope title. Lore master and the creator of Crow, which we have not introduced quite yet. But he is also the creator of Panacea, who we also haven't introduced yet. And then he works really, he's really involved with the creation process and working with Go Girl and Riot. And then we also have Jarmel and Jamal Williams, who are our artists, illustrators, and additional concept artists. So you'll actually start seeing more of their work this year as we have some different projects coming out this year and next year. So that's getting ready to all happen really, really soon here. We've been able to build a brand. These are some of the things people have. We ran a survey about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. And in that survey, we asked people, what does ArcLight stand for? What does ArcLight mean to you? And it was just a random, we wanted to see how we were resonating, if we were connecting, if we were aligning ourselves with our vision and mission statement. And these are some of the things people said, what DC slash Marvel realized 50, 60, 70 years too late. That heroes can come from all walks of life, all circumstances, and all races. Another person said, a new form of heroes that can apply to today's issues and people can relate to. I would consider Arclight to be the start of a new comic book industry that will take off. A comic book creators community that tells engaging, memorable stories that resonate with people of all walks of life. And one of my favorite ones here is down at the bottom. It says, it represents my desire to be a hero. These heroes are addressing the things happening in our society today that I wish I had the superhuman ability to battle. Reading makes me feel not mundane in my efforts. This floored me when we got the feedback that we had gotten. We had no idea we were connecting with people like this through the mini issues. They've also opened up opportunities. I've been asked to present at Hero Nation Ypsilanti by our own Jermaine Dickerson, who's in the group. That was a really amazing and awesome experience. We've been invited to different podcasts, and we have some other opportunities coming up in 2018. And a lot of these people have read the many issues and have gotten a feel for who we are and have asked us to speak and do different things. It has been phenomenal so far. So if this is you, if you want this, by the end of the training here, I'm going to show you how to do it. But I need you to, first of all, we're going to talk about the benefits of the mini issues. Like, what do you bet? Like, of course, you're having to pay for it to get this done, right? So there has to be some type of back end benefit for you. And I'm going to show you what those are. And then we're going to get into the 4 must-have, the non-negotiables of what makes a really strong mini issue. Then after that, I'm going to give you our Arclight's very own 30-day mini issue process breakdown. So you're going to see from day 1 to day 30 what that looks like, and I'm actually going to show you how it builds over time through each of the different phases. So bear with me here. So the benefits. One of the biggest things that we found with mini issues is that they validate the concept. Okay? Rather locking yourself away for years, working and slaving over what you're creating, then going out and spending hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to get the book produced, then taking it to Comic-Con, and then by that time finding out that the concept isn't connecting, it's not resonating, people are walking by the table, people aren't giving you even a glance because nothing of what you produce has been validated. Businesses do this all the time. Y'all don't know, some of you may know, but before Starbucks puts out a new, you remember that unicorn drink, that unicorn frappuccino, whatever it was that they put out, they test group these things. They just don't throw things out there into the public and waste millions of dollars doing it. They focus test these products. Even with the pumpkin flavor, the pumpkin spice coffee latte or whatever it is. I don't do Starbucks that much, but that was focus grouped for a good amount of time. They were going to go with a different flavor, but people really took to the pumpkin flavor. And now pumpkin flavor is the rage every single fall from September to November, right? You have to validate what you have. You have to know and you have to understand that these characters, these stories, their world, the concept is the thing that people want. The market will decide if you make it or if you break it. The market will decide if you get a yes or a no. You do not determine that. As much as you may think that your concept is the next best thing, that the characters are the next best thing, the market will decide if that is the case every single time. You do not get to decide that at all. So, in order to have less risk, spend less money, we do mini issues. We have found out through mini issues which characters resonate the best, which ones we need to work on some more, Which stories are people jumping over the hoops for? Like they want more content in that certain and concerning this story and this character. We found out we gotten so much information, right? You can see here, these are some of the things that people have said about the mini issues. The first one says, I was at a family member's house and he does not let his kids use the internet, Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. His son is only 6 years old. I showed him the mini issues on my phone. He loved it and told his friends. My point is, kids were hooked on the comics. Another one says, wow, this is such a powerful single-page comic. I love everything about it. Amazing job, guys. Definitely looking forward to seeing more. Somebody else, so the last one says, gotta be honest, I don't usually read many issues, but this one is exceptional from the others. So this let us know that we were hitting our mark, that we were doing what we said we were going to do, that the characters were resonating, that the stories were resonating, that the concepts were resonating, that the art, I mean, you can see in the third comment, there is a high level of excellence in putting this together from art to letters. Everything hit the mark. Everything. Had we waited around to produce a 20 or 50 or 100 page graphic novel or comic book and kind of hoped and guessed and winged it that people would like it, maybe they would have, maybe they wouldn't have. But now that we know it's been confirmed at a lower risk, at a lower rate, not losing as much money, now we can move forward with bigger and better stories. That's why you do mini issues. Also, they help you prepare for the bigger projects. A lot of you don't necessarily know how to write a full comic. You don't know how you don't know how comic storytelling works yet, right? So why would you go off and try to do a 20 page or 30 page, or some of you are doing 300 pages worth of a comic book, and you don't know how to do that quite yet. You don't understand the production process. You don't understand the chain of command. You don't understand how things are you don't understand the ebb and flow, right? With the mini issue, you get to understand how all this works at a smaller scale, so that when you do scale up to a bigger issue, you're prepared for it. I can't tell you enough how valuable it was to put through several mini issues. So by the time we got to issue 0, The Passing, which was about a 21-page comic, we had established a rhythm and a pattern to work with one another, right? We had understood how to communicate with one another, how to talk to one another, how to depend on one another. If Tim was struggling, or if Tim was struggling with something, somebody else would step up. If I was struggling with something, somebody else was, we would support one another. We had built an ecosystem of collaboration and support through the mini issues in order for us to survive the 21-page issue. The Passing was a lot. We put in between 12 and 16-hour days some days trying to get The Passing finished, right? But we were able to do that and not kill ourselves too much. It was still a lot of work. We still had a lot of work to do, but it wasn't to the point we were getting stressed out and pissed off and fighting one another behind closed doors. No, it was all support. It was all collaboration. It was nothing but love. And that's what mini issues help you. They help you prepare. They help you scale up. They also help you build an email list. Now, if this is the first time you ever heard of email lists, that's cool. Let me be the one to introduce you to it, okay? So an email list. This is why email lists are so important. Because Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, the platforms change. We do not own these platforms at all. We have no ownership, right? So if tomorrow Facebook decide both Instagram and Facebook, you have to pay for everything, then that's just what it is, right? You have no say in it. Either pay for everything or get off the platform, right? With an email list, what you are able to do is control your content and control the platform. You have a direct line to your audience. You're not getting lost in the noise. You're cutting right through all that and getting them right where they're at. I don't care what somebody has told you, everybody checks their email. Email is not dead. One of the first things millions of people do in the morning is check their email. People feel productive, going through their email, replying to emails, reading things to their email. Email is still a heavy hitter out here in the business world. Let me tell you, there are people who have 100,000, 300,000, 800,000 people on an email list. They have a book, or they have a product, or they have a service, or they have a course. They shoot out that new product or whatever it is to this email list of 100K. Out of that 100K, not everybody's always going to buy, but out of that 100K, 10K might buy. And they instantly, like that, have netted 6 or 7 figures based on whatever the product is. They didn't even have to go and plug in things into Facebook advertising. They didn't have to go blast Instagram. They didn't have to waste hours of their day spamming people up and down Twitter and Instagram. No, they built an email list. They curated an extensive list of people who subscribe and support them 100% and use that list to make money. This is not something that we are excluded from at all. We build email lists by giving away free content, free, valuable content. When you go onto a website and you have somebody who says, download my free course or download my free ebook that's going to teach you this, that is them building their email list. In exchange for your email, they're giving you something that you want, right? And you are a targeted lead. And by a targeted lead, I'm talking about somebody in their audience profile. You are obviously wanting this thing. So it is assumed that you are obviously may get the product, the product that's actually going to be priced if you have read or taken the free course. We call this a funnel. I'll get into that in another training. I don't have time for all that. But this is why you attach your mini issue to an email list. You say, hey, in order to download, you have to subscribe to the email list. You get their email, they get the issue. That's it. Last but not least, they help you execute, right? We just talked about this a little bit in preparation, but they help you execute. A lot of you struggle with this. You're stuck in the idea phase. You're stuck in the world building phase. You've been working on this character concept for what feels like years. You're just in this cycle of world development and character development and ideas, and you have all these things written down in Word documents and journals, but nothing is actually published. That's a problem. I said it earlier. This is the year of execution. We have to execute this year. We can't keep talking about ideas and concept. We actually have to make something this year. And I don't care if it's 1 page or 175 pages. When you publish your comic, you publish your comic. You are a comic writer. Okay? It's the same if you directed a film that only 30 people viewed on YouTube, so what? You're now a director. Put it on your resume. So it helps you execute. And for those of you who are, wanting to create a portfolio, and you want to be hired by Marvel or DC or Boom or Image or something like that, you now are building a portfolio, a resume of things you've executed on. It's just you're not talking about it. Now you actually are building up something to show these writers and these artists and these talent scouts at these Comic Cons. You're not just saying what do I need to do to be a comic book writer. You know what you need to do. You need to write. Or you need to draw. But now when you go, you have something to show. Hey, I took your advice, this, that, and another. I made these 1-page comics. Check them out. Now they have something tangible. You're not just telling them how good you're able to write. They need to be able to see it, right? So now you're able to do that. And if you look here, there was a conversation on Twitter that I'm so thankful for because it played right into this training. It was by Comic Book Hour. The question was asked, I've always felt that creators starting out should strongly consider getting experience by creating short comics. What advice would you give to people potentially starting out in comics? And the responses were clutch. They were so dope. I was so So thankful that everybody agrees. So this is not just me saying this, y'all. This really isn't. James E. Roche, who is also in this group, shout out to James. James said, I always tell people to start off small. This helps you learn things in shorter, cheaper intervals before biting into a larger project. Who else has said that? I just said that. Things like honing your craft, working with collaborators, taking a comic from start to finish, learning where and how to promote. Ryan Burke says, get feedback from others, get good criticism. It's intimidating at first, but it makes your work so much better. Who else just said that? I just said that. And the validation. It's all about validation. TheSprawlComic.com says, agree 100%. Start by making short comics you can complete in a week, then aim for something a little bigger, but still doable in a month. You need to learn to make complete comics to build storytelling skills. Beth Barnett said, start small, learn how to tell a story in a page, then in 2 pages, work yourself up to 8 or 12, then continue on from there. Plus, you'll learn how a story works and when it doesn't. Y'all, the benefits are all right here. You don't need to start off with 20 some pages or 50 some pages at the gate. Tell a single story in 1 page and get the stuff done. I almost cussed. Get it done. You are capable of doing this. It does not have to be this world-changing thing to start. Just make the comic. Just get it out in 1 page. I can't tell you the feedback and the compliments that we have gotten from other people, from other creators in the industry, to say, hey, y'all are really killing it out there being able to tell a story in one. First of all, you will learn really quickly how hard it is to tell a page in 1 page, okay? You will. But once you're able to do it and do it exceptionally well, people talk. People get interested. They want more, right? So when they want more, when they get interested, when they start talking, that gives you a good sign that what you're doing is right, that you're on the right track, okay? And now that you're on the right track, let's talk about the mini issue must-haves. These are the non-negotiables. So if you want to hit that mark, if you want to reach that benchmark, these are the things that all mini issues have to have, okay? So if you haven't been taking notes for some reason, if you just completely forgot that you were supposed to get a pencil and a pen or a piece of paper or a legal pad or whatever, now is the time to start taking notes, okay? It was the time about a half hour ago, but now is the time. So the first one is a strong concept. You have to come out with something different. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just shine the wheel up a little bit. Take the wheel, polish it up, put a new hubcap on it, I don't know, some rims on it. Get you some new lug nuts on that thing. But whatever you do, don't think you have to reinvent the entire wheel. That is not required of you. Make it your own. One of the best things I've always heard is somebody else may be doing what you're doing, but nobody else can do it like you. Let that sit in your spirit for the rest of the day. Nobody else can do it like you. You have a voice. You have a unique gift that is only reserved for you. Because of that, you are more than capable of coming out with a strong concept. Okay? Don't ever let anybody tell you anything different. For us, it was combining political issues and social issues with superheroes in this magical world. Our setting is very unique. It almost, Tim said it last week in our meeting that, what we're creating, it feels so different because there's so much of a fantasy, magic-based element to what we're doing in this universe. Our universe, the Arclight universe, is all about magic, but there's some really big fantasy elements in here too. So it's a mashup of magic and fantasy and superheroes, and at its core, it's humanity. It's the expression of humanity. If we were to get superpowers, what would we actually do? How would the world function? At its core, we're still humans. We're still going to do very human things. But now that we have superpowers, things are going to be a little bit different. So that does not exclude us from still having to go through political issues, political situations, social issues, social challenges, and things like that. They're still going to be here. This was our first mini issue, and it made its impact. It hit its mark. It really got the job done. So when you come out, you have to come out with a strong concept. The next thing you need is a strong story. You can't come out with a strong concept and then the storytelling is weak. That's a no-no. You can't do that. So you have to be able to learn how to tell a good story from beginning, middle, and an end. This comic right here, it's a whole story. There's a beginning, there's a middle, and an end. This comic is the same thing. Beginning, middle, and end. Beginning, middle, and end. You're telling a whole story on one page. And they have to be strong, right? You can't slack on this. But this is why we do the one-page stories, for you to understand how storytelling works. Next, you need strong characters. Nobody's going to get excited over stereotypes or tropes or things that already look like they already exist out there in the world. Be different, be unique. People need new things to get excited about. These characters, now we said from the jump, we are about diversity and representation. We have 3 black characters. We have a Norse Viking character. We have a disabled character who has tetraamelia syndrome. He has no limbs, no arms, no legs. We have a Maori American, and we have a Korean American. And we have so much more coming down the pipelines there. And each of these characters are strong. They are authentically and genuinely created. They're not tropes. They're not stereotypes. They're not here for optics. We pour our heart and our souls into each and every single one of these characters to make them work. So you need strong characters attached to this. And this is going to be the mother of all non-negotiables. I want you to circle this in your notes, underline it, point arrows to it, put a couple stars next to it, highlight it. If you got some glitter in the room, throw some glitter next to it with some glue. Whatever you got to do. This is non-negotiable. You need strong. And I'm going to be real. And I'm going to get a little gutter. Because it has to be said. I can't sugarcoat this. If you are not a good artist, I'm not even going to say that. If you know that you have some more work to do with your art. If you know you're not that great at anatomy, at facial expressions, at showcasing emotion. There is a certain type of art that is necessary for comics. You have to be able to tell a story with your art. That requires a mastery of anatomy, of facial expressions, a perspective, a foreshortening, of being able to do landscapes and environments. You can't be limited. You can't hide hands. You can't hide feet. You have to be able to show emotions on the page. Comics are a medium that has been built on the art. If this is not you, if you take an introspective, honest look inside of yourself and at what you're able to do now, and you know you cannot produce what is being produced in the industry and what is considered industry standard, you have no business doing the art on your comic right now. I'm not saying that you cannot. I'm saying you have more work to do. We're talking about execution this year. We're talking about building an audience. We're talking about doing the damn thing, right? There I go, I just cussed. We're talking about all these things. I cannot let you go out with a strong story, strong concept, strong characters, and then the art be lacking. I cannot tell you how many times I have been to a convention where I see a strong cover, and the cover is the lead-in. That is the magnet that pulls me into the book. And I flip to that first page and I see stick figures, I completely lose interest and I put the book down and I walk away. It is non-negotiable. Comics are built on art. If this is not you, I'm not saying this style has to be you. but you have to be able to tell a story on the page without the words existing. People should be able to understand the general gist of what is going on this page. There's setup, there's conversations, there's body language, there's emotions. If you're unable to communicate this, and I'm not just talking about the pencils and the inks, I'm talking about the colors, I'm talking about the lighting. Lettering is also a part of the art. If all these things don't work in tandem, you have to back up. You have to give it to people who know what they're doing. Yes, it costs money, but can you afford, with your hopes and your dreams, to be cheap? Save up your money, you know? You can't afford to be cheap when it comes to your dreams. Give it to people who know. I'm an artist myself, but I know I have no business doing this. I have not been able to achieve this level of mastery yet. I can do some concept art, you know, that's about my lane, that's about my speed. But when it comes to actually drawing the pages, I know that I would devalue the brand of ArcLight if I were to sit here and try to do this. So this is what you need, okay? Let's recap. Strong concept, strong story, strong characters, and strong art. Once you have those four things, you're good. Now, let's get into the breakdown, right? This is our 30-day mini issue production process breakdown. We did not have this. We did not have this at all in 2016 when we were putting out our first round of mini issues. We were winging it, but we had deadlines. We had a content program that forced us to put out a mini issue once a month, and we had to be on time. We had to be on schedule. So there was no BSing. There was no fooling around. We knew what we had to do. Every time it was time to start a new mini issue, we knew we had to get down to business. So this is what the breakdown looks like. Now, again, don't try to draw or scribble this down on a paper. If you sign up for the training, you will get the training slides. If you did not sign up for the training, you can still get the slides. So don't freak out too much. But I'm actually going to sit here and break all this down. I'm going to break down every single part of this 30 days, what the phases mean, what goes into them. I'm going to show you how we slowly build up a mini issue. Okay, so get ready for this. This is actually pretty dope. I'm proud of myself for this. So the storyboard phase, this is how it starts. In the storyboard phase, we created this so it is the part of the process in where you create and validate your story concept. So we're not writing the story. We're not writing a synopsis. We're not scripting. We're not stressing out over these larger yet smaller details at the same time. The goal here is to understand the baseline concept of the story. Okay? We're going to use issue 3 as an example here. Now in issue 3, as you can see here, there's some bullet points. We wanted to touch on bullying. We wanted to put out an anti-bullying message. In this story, we wanted to save someone in a younger demographic from suicide. The character we were going to use was Go Girl. Okay? So what this looked like is we would get on Skype, and these meetings would go on between about 2 or 3 hours. I think the most we've ever hit was almost close to 4 hours. But we would sit there and we would hash out what is the message of the story, what is the concept of the story. We weren't talking about the synopsis. We weren't trying to script the whole thing. It was just understanding what the skeletal framework of that story was, from beginning, middle to end. What did we need to happen? We tell you, it is 7 panels. We found out that 7 panels is the maximum for a good mini issue. Now you can go more than that. The panels do get smaller. You can put quite a lot of panels on a page, but you have to be mindful the size of the panels. If you keep going and going and going, the panels get smaller. You can only accommodate so much within that space. So we found out 7 was the sweet spot for this. So you have 7 panels to tell the story. Once you do the storyboard phase, now this is what it looks like. You have 2 days to do this, okay? I had considered giving you a week between the storyboard phase and the story engineering phase, which I'll talk about really soon here. But we found out the less time that we had to mess around, the more focus we got. We knew we had to get the next issue out next month. So we couldn't waste a week messing around, or we'll meet on this day, or we'll cancel this meeting and move it to, no. We knew we had to get in that meeting and get stuff done. We had to get down to business. I want you to do the exact same thing. You have 2 days to understand and validate your story concept. This is what you're trying to create, right? We call this the baseline concept. You have 2 days. Next, you have the story engineering phase. Now, this is where you go into building the structure and the script of the story. Now, as you can see, we went from here, right? Issue 3, bullying, anti-bullying, anti-bullying message, say someone in a younger demographic, we're using Go Girl. That was the baseline. That is the framework. That is the scaffolding, right? We get into story engineering. That scales up. We start our story off with a homely, almost geekish looking girl surrounded by prettier, valley high looking girls calling her names and partaking in bullying. Go Girl comes in to save the girl and keeps the situation from escalating into something else. These girls run off. At this point, we want Go Girl and the bullied girl to have an intimate conversation. Go Girl discovers she's trying to inflict self-harm on herself and takes the opportunity to really want to get her help. In the end, Go Girl gets her help. That is the complete story. That is the synopsis. That is the structure from beginning, middle to end. You see how that's scaled up? We start here. Again, that is the skeleton. And you flesh it out. Okay? You also have 2 days to do this. The story engineering. You are writing for 1 page. It is 7 panels. 2 days is more than enough. It's going to force you to sit down and focus. It's going to force you to sit down and really make it happen. It's going to make you get down to business. That's what I want you to do. So you have between story phase, the storyboard phase and the story engineering phase, you have 4 days, less than a week. Get it done. No excuses whatsoever. Then we have the art phase, right? So this is where the script comes to life and you get your issue penciled and inked. Y'all, look how this, I'm telling you, it all builds up one after the other. We go from here. You see, again, look at the baseline concept. Bullying, anti-bullying, say someone in a younger demographic, Go Girl. That is, again, that's the skeleton. Flesh out the skeleton. Put out the synopsis, then the structured paragraph into a script. The script turns into an actual comic. You see how that scales up? This is something I know you can do this. This is not something that you aren't able to do. You are able to, listen, I know you may be saying, well, you had a team, this, that, and the other. The first 2 mini issues I did by myself. I didn't have a team. Actually, no. The first issue I did by myself. The second issue I wrote. By the time Brent, Tim, and we had another guy who was working with us at the time. By the time they all came in, that issue was on its way out the door. They didn't have that much input. By issues 5 and 6 in 2016, Tim actually wrote issues 5 and 6. All we did was come in and clean up some of it. So, using that I have a team or somebody else may have a team, it's not a good excuse. You can do this on your own and do a damn good job at it as well, right? So the art phase, your artist has 10 days. Now this is where you start knowing what questions you need to ask. You have 10 days to get the issue penciled and inked. So before you start this process, you have prerequisites. You have to get your artist in place before you start. Don't wait until the art phase to look for an artist. You should already have your artist. Don't wait for the color phase to get a colorist. You should have it. Same with the letterer. If you can get you a 2-for-1 deal with the art phase and get somebody who can do pencils and inks, let that happen. Actually, you can get a 3-for-1 deal and get pencils, inks, and colors. That's even better, because now you don't have to pass it down the line to too many people. It stays all, the less people you've been having it passed down to, the quicker the production process. So if you have an artist and you say, hey, how fast can you turn a page around for a comic? And they say, oh, it takes me, 3 days. Number one, give that person another 2 or 3 days. Artists, we tend to over-exaggerate our deadlines and what we can do. Life happens, situations come up, people end up dying, passing away, things like that. Things happen in our lives that push deadlines back. You have 10 days. So if somebody says it's going to take me 12 days or a month to turn the page around, you already know you can't proceed with that artist at all. But if somebody says, it's going to take me 6 days or 5 days or 4 days, give that person some extra wiggle room. Say, okay, if it's going to take you 4, I'm going to give you 6. You don't want them to rush it. You remember, art is the non-negotiable. Next, you move into the color phase. This is where your issue is going to be colored, right? The colorist has 6 days to lay those flats, shades, highlights, and everything else. Then you have the lettering phase. Now, for us, for ArcLight, we tend to be a lot more wordy with what we do. We like words on the page. We like to get into the dialogue. We like the internal thoughts. We like caption boxes and narration boxes. We like all that stuff. So our lettering tends to take a little bit longer. But for most people, 2 days to knock that thing out, you're good. Okay? So make sure before you start picking out your people, you ask them, how many days do you need to turn this thing around? And now you have your numbers. Then we also have built-in padding and margin. This is extra time built in just in case you run into deadline issues, because it's going to happen. You always got a plan to run into deadline issues. It happens all the time. I don't think we had a single issue that did not run into a deadline issue. You have 8 days of wiggle room. 8 solid days of this thing. So what this means is, if you do need an extra day or two for the storyboard phase or the story engineering phase, you have 8 days. So you take 2 of them out of your 8 days, now you have 6. Don't sit up here and use all 8 days and then be like, okay, I'm gonna give myself 2 extra days. No, that's not how this works. Then you'll be adding, 2 more days onto the 30, and then you'll be doing 32 days to make a comic. No, you have 30 days to make this thing work. Make it happen. You got 8 days of extra space, padding and margin for you to take and use them if you need them. Be cautious with them. Don't give yourself a week to write the story. Because if you need an extra 3 days or 2 days for your colorist or your artist or your letterer, you're going to use them all up on something I'm so serious when I talk about the 2 days for the storyboard and the 2 days for the story engineering, right? The less time, the better. Because if I were to give you a week, you sit around and procrastinate and wait for the last 2 days to get it done anyway, right? So I'm giving you 4 days to do it. So you have 4 days there. So use your wiggle room, your extra padding and margin wisely. And this is what you get when it's all said and done. After you go through all the different phases, you have a full story from beginning, middle to end. And that's how it's done. You can do this too. Can you not do this? Are you not able to do this on your... You can do this. Whether you have a team or you're doing this by yourself, you can do this. Look at this is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, we have 9 panels there. I lied. But between, this is 9 panels. It took 9 panels to tell this story. This is not something that is impossible. This is in you. I know it's in you. You can do this, right? Because this is the year of execution. We're not talking about ideas and concepts no more. We're not talking about getting, hoping and wishing, or this is my dream. It's that, no, you're actually going to do it. And this is the way this is how you're going to do it. You're actually going to be a comic writer or a comic artist or a letterer or whatever have you in 30 days when you start this process from beginning, middle to end. Okay. So after this, right? Now you have the process, you have the breakdown. Some of you, this is all you need, right? Like you're good. You took your notes. You maybe even found a way to record this without our consent. Shame on you. But you are good after this. Like you are the type of person who can take your notes and get it done. Some of you other ones who are not able to do that, you need some additional instructions. You need some additional mentorship. You need some additional guidance. You need a proper drill down on the storyboard phase. How do you actually get to the baseline concept? What does that look like? How do you scale up from the baseline concept to the story engineering phase where you get the synopsis? How do you do how do you do all this, right? Stutter moment. We have a book that we created after our fifth or sixth mini issue that we'd spent a weekend pouring every single thing that we knew on how to create mini issues into, from start to finish. In this book, there's a dedicated chapter on the storyboard phase, on the story engineering phase. We have our collaboration. We drill down into how to do that. The art phase, the inking and coloring phase, the lettering phase. And we have 2 additional chapters, cross-pollination of jobs, talking about how we cross over and help each other out. And the editorial calendar is exactly what I just showed you. It's a little different in the book, but it's exactly what I just showed you on how to create a content strategy, an editorial calendar for your content. So in this book, in the storyboard phase, we actually teach you how to run this session as a team. We also teach you how to run it as a solo creator. So if you were debating, if you were concerned that you're not able to do this on your own, we show you how to do this on your own. We show you how to do it as a team. There's 2 different sides of the coin here, because even somebody may have a team, but the team may not be ready for this level of collaboration. This is a high level collaborative project. It takes a village to pull this together. And just because you're doing it solo doesn't mean you're doing every single phase of the process solo. You have to reach out. We teach you how to tell emotionally driven stories. I'm going to show you what that looks like in a minute here. We show you how to put your story's concept together. Just like I showed you in the beginning with the story, that baseline concept, we show you how to do that in this chapter. We give you feedback requests, examples to email out to different creators and people who you need to validate your concept. If you're running, again, I just said it, if you're running this as a solo creator, you're going to need other input other than your own. We show you the right way to go about doing that because we've done it ourselves. I've actually been able to contact Jim Shooter, who he used to work at Marvel. He was the editor-in-chief. I contacted him on LinkedIn. There were some things that I did. There were some things that I said to him in a LinkedIn message. I was being hopeful that one day I said, man, I hope he reads this. He read it. He said, I would love to have a conversation with you. We sat on the phone for about a half hour, 45 minutes, and he gave me some of the best advice that I have gotten from anybody in the comic book industry. From Jim Shooter, editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics. This is an example of how we teach you how to tell emotionally driven stories. This is what we call an emotional through line. And we discovered these that in order to illustrate on the page what we wanted to people to feel when they read the story, we had to understand the emotional spectrum we were taking them through. And in this chapter, the storyboard phase, we show you how to plot this out. You know, we say pain, sorrow, sadness, and scared. In these 3 panels are the emotional spectrum of pain, sorrow, sadness, and being scared, right? We show you how to do that. So you're able to capture people's attention. You're able to retain their immersion in the story. In the story engineering phase, we actually give you some of our scripts. So for those of you who are not sure of the scripting process, who spend all day going on Google trying to look for scripts, we have them right here in the book, in story engineering phase. And we teach you how to scale this baseline concept up to get to this point, okay? In the art phase, we're going to show you how to find the best artist for your comic. Not every comic is right to tell your story. Certain stories require certain artists. There is a complementary aspect to this. We're going to help you to define your comic's art style. What direction should you go in? You know, we're going to give you the most important questions to ask your artists. I gave you a few, you know, with the 10 days to in the art phase. Now you know that you have to ask your artists how quickly can they turn the page around. There are some additional questions you need to ask before, you start this process. It's imperative that you know, right? Because if you don't understand the questions to ask, you may end up getting caught up down the road. You have to understand a couple things about your artist, what their workload is and things like that before you start this process. That way, your deadlines don't get pushed back, you don't get screwed over, and they don't get screwed over. We give you payment schedule examples. This is so, again, you don't get screwed and your artist doesn't get screwed. We have a specific and a certain way we pay our artists so that everything is mutual, so that their payment goes in on time and we get our art on time. We're also going to show you how to give your artist feedback that improves the work of the comic, improves the work of the issue. Now, the art of plussing, this is how we collaborate and create the magic that ArcLight is able to create, okay? There is a very special way in which we are able to create everything that you see, every mini issue, every character, issue 0, the books that we're working on right now, is a collaborative effort. It's not just one writer writing things and then we pass it off to an artist. No, everybody is a storyteller at ArcLight. Everybody has an opportunity to contribute to the story. I can't tell you the amount of times we've had creative meetings. We call them creative kickback jams. These things have lasted they last for almost 3 to 4 hours. And not one time has anybody fallen out. Has anybody gotten into a disagreement? Have we had any bickering or fighting or any hurt feelings about what he said or what she said, or this is that and the other? The collaborative now I don't know how to talk. The collaborative work that we do is so strong, it's so important, and it just works. And in this chapter, in the art of plussing, we actually share what that is with you and the rules of our collaboration. Because there are rules to this. There's rules to how we collaborate. There's a framework. And these rules are there and they're in place for a reason, so we don't fall out of place with what we're supposed to be creating. Because once you get out of the rules, once you don't understand the rules of the game here, that's when the hurt feelings and the disagreements, and I'm going to cuss you out this day, and this, that, and the other, that's where all that stuff starts to come into play. So we give you the tools that you need to collaborate with other creators in this book, in this guide. Then the inking and coloring phase, this is where Tim really digs down into how storytelling comes through the colors and how coloring styles affect the schedule of your production. We found out that digital paints take longer than cel shaded style. And once we switched it up, Tim was able to actually produce, rather color the comics way faster than he was in 2016, in 2017. So in this chapter, Tim's going to take you through why paying attention to the colors is so important and why it contributes to storytelling and how different coloring styles affect your schedule. Then the lettering phase is where I break things down as a letterer here. I show you how to plot and stage your balloons and take you down the different passes that I go through. You are responsible for a lot when it comes to lettering. You are responsible for navigating somebody's eye successfully from panel to panel, from page to page. It is not just throwing words and balloons on the page. I see so many people get lettering wrong, and then people have, you would be surprised how frustrated and how quickly somebody is going to put your comic down because the lettering doesn't make sense. There's a system and a process to lettering, and it is an art form that is to be respected. In this phase, in this chapter, I show you exactly what that process is. Now, this sounds like you. Again, you know that after this training, you're all hyped up right now. Like, you're motivated, you're ready to just light everything on fire, and then tomorrow everything's going to be gone. The fire's not going to be there no more. Because you know for damn sure you needed some additional support. You needed some additional help. You needed some additional guidance, direction, and instruction, right? If this is you, this guide is available right now for $19 with a 30-day money-back guarantee. And I am more than certain that you're not even going to use the 30-day money-back guarantee. The value is in the book. Everything I just talked about. We drill all the way down to the bottom on every single one of these phases so that you have the proper guidance and the mentorship. It's guidance and it's mentorship in this book. We are holding your hand throughout every single phase of the process, and you're getting that for $19. That's what it takes to invest in your dreams right now, is $19. That's all. To get this thing for 2018 to be your year of execution, that's all you're looking at right now. So we actually had somebody who got this guide, right? A guy by the name of Curtis. And this was his first mini issue. Back when we had our Facebook community was in Slack, he bought the book, he purchased the book, and he did his first mini issue fairly quickly, to be quite honest. And he posted this up in the group, and it was gorgeous. I mean, look at the art. Everything I talked about in the non-negotiable section, everything's here. Everything. Strong concept, strong story, strong characters, and strong art. The art is gorgeous. I love it. Every time I look at this page, I want to be inside this world. I want to be with these characters. I want to figure out what's the larger story here. And he does all that. You know, he accomplishes this beautifully. What happened after this mini issue? Curtis goes and takes it into a Kickstarter for a mini issue 11 by 15 print. 12 backers pledged $168 to bring the project to life. He made it happen. From this mini issue, he has now scaled up to produce The Wild Cosmos Act 1, his first comic book. Just look at that art. Like, the art is just sick. I love it. It's just dope. It really is. So not only did he scale up, he took it to Kickstarter. 313 backers pledged $6,008 to bring this project to life. He went $1,008 over his original goal on Kickstarter. He introduced the concept. He introduced the story. He introduced the art. And he introduced the characters for free. He took down the paywall. He said, "Hey, this is what I'm going to be creating at large." Got his feedback, got his criticism, got his go-ahead, got his validation. Scaled up. Now the project is funded. This is what you're able to do. This is not just us benefiting off of this. Somebody else took advantage of this offer Said, okay, I'm going to invest in my dreams. I'm going to invest in what I've envisioned for myself. I'm going to make it happen. Curtis made it happen. You can make this happen too. Now, if you are the type of person who the book sounds dope, like you're on board with the book, right? But you want some additional mentorship and you want some additional guidance. What we're going to offer is a script review. We're going to review your mini issue script. You're actually going to be invited into a Zoom video conference meeting with Team Arclight. You are going to sit around in a kickback jam, creative jam with Team Arclight, and we are going to have reviewed your script, and then we're going to tell you the direction you need to go. We're going to give you feedback. We're going to give you feedback on your characters, on your concept, on your story. Not only are we going to do that, we're going to record the video session and we're going to send it to you. That way, you have it around. You're always able to reference it back as many times as you need to. So again, we're going to make sure your concept is strong, your story is strong, make sure the characters are resonating. Again, you're going to get feedback from the entire Arclight team. You're also going to get the ebook, the guide we just talked about. This is available for $29. Okay? So not only do you get the ebook, you get a script review, and you get it in real time in a video conference call with my team. Like, how dope is that? You're getting your script reviewed by the people who have built an audience over 5,000 some people, over 5,000 some mini issue downloads. This is what is available to you. Okay. Now, if you really, really want to hit it out the park, if you really want to make this thing pop, make this thing shake, if you want to get, cut above the noise and do what you got to do and make it happen, what we have are called mini issue intensives. This is pretty much a boot camp. We are going from start to finish. Take what you have. So you're going to introduce to us your concept, your characters, your story, the world that you're building. And we're going to sit down with you in the storyboard phase, in the story engineering phase. We're going to help you establish, now this does not come with art or colors or lettering, but we're going to help you find the right artist for your project. We're going to hold your hand. We're going to work with you until that thing is out. So the difference between this and the script review is that we are actually going to be helping you and guide you and put some architecture and infrastructure into your concept, into the world that you're building, into your intellectual property. We're going to say, we're going to serve as one of your first real audiences. We're going to serve as a brain trust for you. We're going to serve as some advisors or mentors for you. We're going to tell you if these characters are working, which ones are working, which ones aren't working, which one's going to need some more development, which ones are the most appropriate for a mini issue right now, and which ones aren't. Which one do we think are going to resonate the strongest with an audience? We're going to help you understand who your audience, like who are you making this comic for? Who is your audience? And once you figure out who your audience is, then we actually go from there into the storyboarding phase. What do these people want? What do they want to read out of this? Like, what do they want to get out of this comic? And then, of course, we're going to help you with the scripting, with your dialogue. You're going to have access to the Arclight team in helping you construct your first mini issue from start to finish. It is all hands on deck. Not only that, you also get the ebook with this, the mini issue guide ebook. You're also going to get our 2017 mini issue scripts. That also comes with the script review. Our 2017 mini issues are the best mini issues we have produced to date. In the book, in the e-guide, we only have a few of the 2016 issues in there, but our 2017 issues come with this intensive. So you actually have our the actual scripts that we have used. You can use this as a reference, and we're actually going to help you build your own script. You get all this for $99. Y'all, invest in yourself. Invest in your dreams. This is the year to make it happen. It's all right here. You don't have to go another day. You don't have to do this all by your own, all on your own, or all by yourself. We're right here. We are so excited. These intensives, let me tell you, the intensives are where it's at. If you really want to produce the best work this year that you have ever produced and really get a solid start on this comic making journey of yours, the intensive is going to be for you. Now, again, some of you are cool with what's in the training. I respect it. You're honest with yourself. This is all you needed to go and make it happen, right? Some of you need a little bit more finessing, a little more hand holding. That's where the book is going to come in. You need that additional instruction, the guidance, the mentorship. Some of you, these animations are going, I'm never going to do animations again in training. Some of you just need the book and a script review just to make sure that what you're producing is good, is great enough, right? We're not going to be writing the script for you. It's just feedback. But you want the additional confirmation that this is going to pop when I put it out. This is going to work when I put it out. And that's all you need for $29. But for those of you who are really ready to make this thing shake, to make it do what it do, to get the job done, to really put out the best possible work that you can do this year, and wherever you can start off with this year and make a statement and make everybody know that this is who you are, this is what you're about, this is why you should care. The intensive is for you. And that we called it an intensive because that's exactly what it is. It's intense. It is boot camp. It is a boot camp for many issues. It's a boot camp for comic book creators. So this is the end of the training. I thank you so much for being here. You can get all these things right now at arclightcomics.com/shop. They're all available. Let me also make it clear and make it known that the intensives and the script reviews will not be the same. In pricing, those prices will go up. But because we make comics, we wanted to make it of a great value for you. It's an introductory price, and they won't always be available. The pricing for this will only be available, and we're only going to have these up until February 15th. So you have until February 15th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to get you an intensive or script review by then. The ebook is always going to be available to purchase, okay? And there's also a limited amount of seats for the script reviews and the intensives. We're not taking 100 people for the script reviews because we also have stuff to work on our own, right? However, there is a limited amount of seats, limited availability for the intensives. And now the intensives are where we're actually really limiting the seating and availability. Those are going to be tight. The script reviews are also going to be tight, but not as tight, okay? Again, you have until February 15th, 2018 before 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to get either of these two things. Again, the mini issue intensive and the script review comes with the mini issue ebook that was $19, and they also come with our 2017 mini issue scripts. That's the Braxton, Apex, and Solid scripts. And you can get those things again at arclightcomics.com/shop. So don't waste time. It's time to go. It's time to execute. Thank you so much for participating and watching and taking your notes. If you have not taken notes at all, shame on you. I'm so disappointed. But thank you. Please don't be a stranger. Keep in touch. I am Ed Williams. I am the president and the founder and the owner and the chief creative officer and the brand manager and the strategist and everything else in between at ArcLight Comics. You can reach me here at any one of these handles on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. There's my email as well in case you want to reach out. It has been a pleasure to do this for you, and I'm looking forward to the many more trainings to come down the road in We Make Comics. Again, thank you. Be blessed. Get to work, and let's make it shake. Let's make it happen in 2018.